The
Yeah,
problems are the ones that are intractable that we don't know how to solve. I still think the technology still needs a couple more revolutions. It still takes almost 25 years to move something from an experiment setup until it becomes a commercial success. I think I want to be clear that AI will create the biggest problems we ever have seen. Problems bigger than any of the problems we have now. The more powerful the technology, the more powerful the problem.
okay, thank you. So it's an honor to have a connect with you. Last month you've been in Shanghai, but I got some business, so I can't go there. What a pity.
I'm sorry
Um,
you missed it.
Me too. So can you say hello to our Chinese friends?
Yes, hello, Chinese friends. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so today is a very quick podcast for let's talk about some about AI and or technology and future. That's why we invite the Kevin Kelly. He's the most important to the author to introduce our future and think about the technology, how technology influence us and change the world. So the first question is not so difficult. So you came to China, I think, for many times, and you were there in Shanghai last month. Is there any fresh impression?
Yes, I think this time I noticed that there was a lot of confidence in
Yeah,
the people that I was meeting who were making things. I think maybe because of DeepSeek and other things, I think there was a feeling much more that the things that they were working on had the potential to be the best in the world. And of course, many of the things that are being made in China, like the bamboo 3D printers or DJI drones, are the best in the world. And I think this has given a lot of the entrepreneurs and tech people
yeah.
a new measure of confidence that I did not see before.
Yeah, sure. I also feel that like that because I also run a startup in last year, and I've seen many tech startups in China. It's quite but I think maybe there are some difference between China and American startup. For example, you're very familiar with the Silicon Valley, right? So how do you think about the now in China's AI startup and the Silicon Valley startup? Is there any vibe have the differences?
I did not have a chance to visit any of the AIs in China, so I
Ah,
don't know.
I don't know, but
Right.
welcome to our company in next time. We're also in
Okay.
Shanghai. Yeah,
Okay. And what is the name of your company?
Creable.
Okay. So you said you have experience. What is your experience about the differences between China AI and Silicon Valley AI?
I never been Silicon Valley, but I knew it through some like the media, like the American serial TV called Silicon Valley. Yeah, it's my favorite TV show.
Yeah, by the way, that is fiction. Although it is, there is a lot true to it, but it is just fiction. So you may
Yes,
be careful. Um,
I know there's a lot of details. It's only for the show, not for real.
right, right. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they do capture the spirit very well, but it is fiction. Um, uh, so, what have you detected for the past year? What change in China has been present in the past year?
I think the most impressive thing is the AI's low cost because the language models is very expensive like few years ago. But in China, like DeepSeek and Chainone, the kind of the models they bring a huge down of our cost. So the startup like us can provide more efficient and very a good service at a low price to users. That's why I think the market is growing very fast because everyone have the uh, potential to touch our service.
Right. So you actually are using those models, other people's models to for your service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't develop some kind of the agent, so-called, but we are building like the cursor for creators.
Hmm.
It's quite different, but still we based on language models
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
the some the technology like that.
Sure. Okay. Great.
Then I want to talk about the education. It's also a topic you concern about.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm living a beneficiary of the YouTube called YouTubeverse. I think you might mention before. Yeah, I taught myself AI
Right.
with open course, and I found there um, maybe many courses on different platforms for free. So you once said that when content platform like YouTube are turbocharged by AI, education will be like transformed at its core. Yeah, I feel that firsthand. And but the same platform also spread harmful materials and AI generate junks. How do you think about this? We should handle the downside or other?
Yeah, I think the junk is not difficult to sort through. Um, and I think it's necessary. I think one of the
Yeah,
reasons why we have fantastic writing in books is
yeah,
that it was very easy to write something down, which meant that most of the writing was junk. If it was very, very difficult to write, then that would mean that it'd be less likely for someone to write a great book. So the
yeah.
reason why we have great books is because we have mostly junky books. And that was one
Uh,
of the difficulties with TV for a very long time. Television with just four channels, some country had only one channel, was that
yeah,
it could not afford to make really bad TV.
yeah,
It
sure.
was TV was so expensive that it could not be bad. It could only be mediocre, average. And it was very rarely great. The only way you can make great TV was to make it so cheap that you can make a lot of bad TV instead of just mediocre average TV. So when the technology came along of camcorders and other technologies which make TV cheap, then suddenly you had a lot of bad TV and then suddenly you had great TV. So you can't get the great unless you have a lot of the bad. So the same thing in YouTube. In order to have great content, you have to allow it to have a lot of very junky trash. And you just have to sort that out. And I think the
Yeah,
algorithms for YouTube are pretty good about
yeah,
recommending only the good stuff that you would like. And I don't see the issue about the harmful stuff because it's so easy to sort through. I mean, you could
yeah,
go looking for it. That's a different matter if you're hunting for it. But I'm not really bothered by the low quality of a lot of the stuff on YouTube. That's just the price that we have to pay in order to get the great stuff.
yeah, sure. I can agree more. But there's a li little change in now. I think maybe the AMS produced content is more and more.
Yeah,
That's why, yeah, that's why some people can click the button, then AI generates a full content.
sure. It's very, very clear that if it does make a difference to people, they're not going to watch it. It's not going to be recommended. It's going to be sorted out. Even right now, Google, just this week, they
Yeah,
said that they are now able to identify anything made with their AI. And if people don't want to see it, then that's just not going to be recommended. So I'm not worried about that. I think that's a tractable problem. And we talk
yeah,
about intractable and tractable.
yeah,
There are a lot of
trackable.
problems that are intractable, meaning we don't know how to solve them. This is a tractable problem. This is solvable.
Yeah,
So
it's have a
it's not really a problem. The
yeah.
problems are the ones that are intractable that we don't know how to solve.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you, Kevin. So there's a you think there's a very clear path to solve this problem.
It's filtering. Meaning that if there is enough difference that if it's if the stuff that AI generated, if people on average think that it's no good, then it'll be filtered out. If people on average think that it's good, then there's no problem. If people like it and think
Yeah,
it's great,
sure,
okay, show me more. That's not a problem.
sure.
If people look at it and say that's terrible, I don't like it, then the algorithm and the AIs will be able to tell very, very quickly, and they'll just filter it out. They won't show it to people
Yeah,
because
sure.
people say, I don't like that. That's just slop. That's just junk. I don't want to watch it. Don't waste my time. That's the market talking.
Yeah. That makes sense, right? Um, you mentioned the YouTube recommendation algorithm.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I used to be a researcher also on the algorithm of recommendation. So I get know the AI in recommendation like 7 years ago.
Mhm.
But I entered AI era as a student and have lived through this three-stage transformation. You also mentioned in your book exactly as deep learning, right?
Right.
And machine learning, deep learning, and large language models.
Right.
So, have you has own stance on AI shift across those three stage, or looking back at two
Um,
revolutions?
yeah, I mean, I was around with when Patty Moss at MIT did
Uh,
Firefly, which
yeah,
was the first recommendation engine that was then, I think, bought by Amazon.
yeah, I heard about
And
that.
it was they were doing Hamming distances and all kinds of stuff. So the first round of AI um, was moving very, very slowly. For most of my life, AI had been just very, very slow, not much progress, just little tiny bits here and there. And I expected that to keep going at that slow rate. So um, I did not. So I was expecting AI to come a lot further away, not as early. And I think the surprise for me was the neural nets, because the neural nets are not new. The neural nets have been around for a very long time. Um, and, people that I knew worked on neural nets and they could never get them to really do very much. But it wasn't until even after they had the large language models on the GPUs, they had some, AlphaGo and those kinds of
DeepMind.
things
Yeah,
were interesting. And I thought, okay, well, now we have some effort. There's something happening, but and I expected it to kind of like, well, take another decade. The surprise was the LLMs, okay, and the
yeah,
surprise is that if you did language translation software, if you had a large language model that you actually got some reasoning, that was a surprise to everybody. Everybody, including the people working on it, were surprised that you could get reasoning from a large language model. And more importantly, that if you just kept scaling it up, you scaled up the model, you got more reasoning, that was a shock. So that suddenly, after very long, slow growth, suddenly there was a quantum leap in capabilities.
yeah,
And that
sure.
was a surprise to everybody, including me, because I would not have guessed that would have happened. And so now all the excitement that we're seeing right now is still coming from scaling the large language models. And the question is, can it keep going? Can you keep
Yeah,
scaling and scaling and increasing the reasoning? And how much reasoning do you actually need? Because there may be an over index to reasoning. Reasoning may not be the thing that we're missing. In other words, we may already have enough reasoning. We may need some other stuff. And so that's the question is so far we've been shocked and surprised and pleased by how much progress we've made from scaling up the LLMs, but it's not at all certain that if you keep scaling them, you get the same kind of improvement. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
I think that we may be coming up to some plateau, and that we need some other elements, cognitive elements, to go further in what we want for the AIs. And so we can talk about that, but that's my history is that there was very, very slow, steady, minimal improvement in AIs, and then there was a surprise with the LLMs, and they have grown, leaped very, very high, but it's not really clear how far they can go.
Yeah, first thing. Still, I thought there are some scientists here. They think the scaling law is uh, not as useful as past years. Like
Yeah,
they are
right.
lost
Yeah,
magic.
right. Yep.
Yeah, you have the same
Yep.
idea.
It's that my experience in systems that are networks.
Yeah,
So there's a neural network. It's a
yeah,
network. And the thing about networks is that they're flat, meaning that they're homogeneous. It's the same thing. There's not that much
yeah,
structure in the LMs except the levels, right? I mean, otherwise it's just kind of the same structure. And so when you have networks like that, they're extremely powerful and they can do a lot more than you think. But at some point, they need some top-down control. They can't do everything from the bottom up. You have to have some level of something above it to direct it, to nudge it, whatever. And that's sort of what people are playing around with right now. It's like what kind of oversight, what kind of guidance, what kind of routers do we need to to elevate this? And it's not just more reasoning. This is the thing, is that people think that intelligence as like an element, like water. But it turns out that water is not an element. Water is a compound made up of two elements, hydrogen and oxygen, which are nothing like water. And people think that intelligence is like an element, and or like sound, where you have decibels. It just keeps getting louder and louder up a ladder. But I'm saying no. Intelligence is actually a compound made up of different cognitive elements that are combined in different combinations. In our own minds, they're one combination, but animal minds have a different kind of compound, and AIs are going to have another kind of compound from these cognitive elements. And that we are trying to figure out what those elements are, and that right now the LLMs have only one element, which is LLMs, neural nets, perception, pattern perception. And it may be that what we want is not just more reasoning, but we need other kinds of cognitive actions like planning, like continual learning. Right now, these LMs don't learn continuously, right? I mean, the only
yeah,
time they learn is when they go from 4 to 5 to 6. They
yeah.
learn once a year. And so we want continuous learning. So there's a whole bunch of things that we need in addition to reasoning. So even though we can increase reasoning, that may not be the missing thing to make them more useful to us. We need other cognitive elements besides reasoning to make robots, to
Yeah.
make physicists, and so the LLMs may not be capable of producing these other qualities.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I heard about the trending topic in scientific area is about the you mentioned that, right? Maybe have the space intelligence and the recognition element. In your last talk, you suggest that the ultimate form of the intelligence maybe is about physical world
Right,
perception,
right.
like AI glasses.
Well, there's a sector of research called spatial intelligence,
Yeah,
sometimes called world models,
world models.
where
Yeah,
instead of training the model on language, large language models, and text, you train the model on the real world, on physics, on chemistry. So right now, the large language models are learning about the world by what people write about the world rather than the world itself. So they're not training on the real world, they're training on what people write about the world. And so it's an abstraction. And because of that, they actually have difficulty living in the real world, these
Yeah.
AIs. And they're not embodied, they don't have bodies. And so there's some research right now to try and make models that are modeled on the world who can experience the world directly and learn from video, from data collected. And
Yeah.
but the problem right now is that unlike the large language models where all that data was digitized and there was just an abundance of digitized text, there isn't a lot of physical data, data about the physical
Yeah.
world. And so there's a shortage of sufficient data of of the right diversity and variety to actually train the models like a large physics model. People have been trying. There have been lots of attempts to try and do this, but they haven't made it general enough. It hasn't reached that point. And so that's what is needed is something where there's a spatial awareness of 3 dimensions, 4 dimensions with time, near and far, things that are dropped, they bounce, all the kinds of things that like a young child would intuitively know is common sense. So the AIs right now don't have that much common sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Common sense.
that's what you kind of want the model to learn is basic, what we call common sense, meaning some of the most fundamental aspects of the world as it is, rather than what is written about the world in language.
Yeah, sure. The language, like the text, is only small part of the data and
Right,
how AI know the world, right?
right.
Yeah, I also have some friend. He startup AI glasses product called Rocket. Maybe
Yes,
you know that. Yeah.
I visited Rocket. I have the glasses.
Oh, you got that.
I got the glasses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
also use that. It's very interesting product.
Yeah.
Depending on MR plus AI, right?
Yes. 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 It's the right direction. I still think the technology still needs a couple more revolutions. The field of view is a little too narrow. It's not in color yet. So, but they're in the right direction. And the right direction is that I think smart glasses. This is regular glasses, but smart glasses that were like this. You see through. They're very lightweight. They sit in your head. This will be our interface
Yeah,
to the
interface.
AI. Will be these things. Not. It's not so much their interface to the virtual reality. They're the interface to the AI. They're how we have the always on. The always on agent is going to be in these glasses with hearing, a microphone. There's some skin tactile feedback. There's all kinds of things going on, and I think we'll put them on not to to go into virtual reality. We'll put these on to turn on our AI.
Yeah.
So like right now, if I do this, this means I'm working on a computer. In the
Yeah.
future, this means I'm talking to the AI.
And AI is doing the work. Right.
Yeah, he's listen. I'm always on. The AI is. I'm now working. This is what, right? This if I do this, if you see me typing, you know that I'm working. In the future, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, this means I'm working. I put on the smart glasses. I have the AI is on. We're talking. It's seeing what I see. It can whisper into my ears. It can show me on a screen. I can ask it questions, and we'll have different gestures with our fingers. And so this is the glasses is the computer, not so much the phone. It's 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 putting on the glasses.
Yeah. It's the future, I think, maybe 5 years or 10 years. Uh, I also a huge fan of the sci-fi novels. Like my favorite author is Asimov, and uh, I also like watch the movies. My
Right.
favorite movie is Her. Her. It's about the
Yeah.
AI. Yeah, human AI. In that movies, the people they just have the very small device here in air and use
Right.
them connect with the platform on cloud.
Right.
So how do you think in the future the glasses is the right form, or maybe there any possible to have a new format of the product, maybe smaller than glasses?
Yeah, in the far future, they definitely could have contacts. They already have experiments with contacts on
Yeah.
your eyeball that can do that. So it's possible that you could wear contacts instead of glasses, contacts and earbuds. But that is not, I don't think that's right now there's no one close to making that. So I think it still takes almost 25 years
Wow.
to move something from an experimental setup until it becomes a commercial success. It's
Mhm.
the cell phone did not happen in 2 years. The cell phone happened in 25 years. The mobile phone, smartphones,
Yeah.
it took 25 years. The idea of cell phones was from the 1960s. They already had that
Yeah.
idea. So it just took a very long time before this became ubiquitous. And the same thing with these smart glasses. It's just going to take, and the idea of having something that doesn't have glasses, where you have virtual reality without glasses,
Yeah.
that's going to take 25 years from the moment that people start to work on them. So now they're kind of working on them. So the earliest could be would be 25 years,
25 years later, maybe. Yeah.
maybe. It's a very
Long time.
difficult technology to to do without hardware outside you. It's really tough. Um, so so I think for the time being, we're going to have smart glasses and phones. You'll have both phones
Yeah.
and smart glasses, and maybe things on our wrist and stuff like that. But we'll have glasses and something we carry in our pocket, both of those together.
Yeah, I very expected that. You that it almost take like the 70 years the cell phone from a thought to a real product, like to 1960s, right?
The 60s, yeah,
Yeah, it's a very long time.
very long time. And so it's the technology can go very fast, but the adoption takes slow. So right now, I think if we stopped all innovation in AI, let's say starting tomorrow, there's no new innovations, it would still take 10 years for us to absorb what we have today. It would take 10 years before the AIs, ChatGPT 5, Gemini 3, it would take 10 years for that to penetrate into the culture.
Yeah,
It's
which means
very, very slow. It's because it's the thing people think that AI is like having an Einstein. It's like you have a smart person on your team. No, no, it's not. It's a different thing. It's not just having it's an entirely different force. It's an entirely different element, a factor, and
yeah,
you can't just bring them in like they're another person. The AIs will change the structure of your workflow. And that means it will change the structure of your company. And that will
Yeah.
change the structure of what you do. And so all those changes require a lot of time to figure out what that new structure is, to make people comfortable, to educate people in the new way of working. And it's just the idea that this will happen very quickly is I think incorrect. And I think uh, a lot of people are going to lose money by the fact that this is going to be a slow takeoff, not a fast takeoff.
Yeah, it sounds like we are way behind the tech now
Yeah,
in AI.
yeah. The
Yeah.
culture has to absorb it. It takes time for the culture to absorb it. The culture changes much slower than the laboratory does.
Yeah, I think maybe you mentioned that you prefer the scenario better than prediction you made. In the future, we cannot imagine that how the future is because you said that we are way behind the real like our mind is have many lack of to know these things,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
real AI. Yeah. Many people worry about their job losses. You said that but you argue that the AI will recompose work rather than eliminate. So that human value will actually risk because it become like
Yeah,
scarcer.
scarce,
Yeah,
scarce. Yeah,
scarce. Yeah, yeah.
yes, that's true.
So
I think.
yeah, since AI has no sense of responsibility and cannot
Right,
be held accountable for its output, so the one thing human can still sell to
right,
employees, yeah, it's precisely like responsibility and trust, like
right.
human, you and me. So is this an unbeatable mode, the mode against the automation?
Well, it's against the replacement. So again, the model that we seem to have is that it's humans working with the AIs together as a team. So
Yeah,
many tasks are automated for sure. For
yeah,
sure, there are all kinds of tasks that humans do now that will be automated forever. But your job is not tasks. Your job is overseeing tasks. So many of those tasks will be automated, but your job doesn't necessarily be automated. Your job continues because humans are taking responsibility. They are they're working with the AIs to help the AIs do their job. It's sort of like the generative art, which is a good example of the
yeah,
AIs. Generative art. So the AIs are capable of generating, in theory, any image. But
yeah, we do.
in fact, they're lazy and they will produce average images. I mean, you give them the prompt and they're going to produce something that is predictable. It's average. They are capable of producing original. They can, in theory, they can arrive at any image. So they could arrive at a magnificent, fantastic, creative image. But they can't do that on their own.
Yeah, it depends on human, right?
Right? They need the human to help them become creative.
Yeah,
So our job is working with them as a partner is to help the AI be more creative than it naturally is because it's lazy. And so the same thing with coders or whatever. The AI can code it, but it's kind of like it's good, but you have to kind of check its work. It's hard to make it really, really good, and you're constantly having to work with it to nudge it, to encourage it, to push it to be better. And so that is the relationship that we're going to have with these AIs is um, they will automate things for sure. but they need our help to do the best job about it.
Yeah. I thought about there's a traditional metaphor in China called 画龙点睛, which means you have a masterpiece, but it's without soul. It's so soulless, but someone can bring a real soul to put them in that masterpiece, so that bring the masterpiece to alive. So I think this the same feeling to me.
Make a
Uh,
masterpiece, but it doesn't have any soul.
yeah.
You have to bring a soul to the masterpiece. Huh, that's interesting. Okay.
I think maybe that's what we do in future, maybe
Yeah,
human for art,
that,
right?
that's one thing. Yeah, but the metaphor I like is that they're lazy. They're
Lazy,
lazy, and
average.
we average, and we need to inspire or um, nudge them or help them, inspire them to become their best, to do better work, constantly
Yeah,
pushing them to say, no, no, you can do better. I'll work with you, and together we will make something really good. You can't get
yeah,
there by yourself. I can't get there by yourself. Together we can make something really good.
yeah. Some like two fellows, they
Right,
like work together and
right,
encourage each other to be
right,
better.
right, right, right.
Yeah. Interesting. You also said that leave productivity to the machine. Yet
Yeah,
economic transitions raise like real short-term problems.
right, right.
Maybe I said the employment issue and like the possible deflation. How should society underwrite this shift?
Yeah, I think I want to be clear that AIs, plural, will create the biggest problems we ever have seen. Problems bigger than any of the problems we have now.
Yeah, I
They're
agree
going to
that.
come from AI. That's for sure. The more powerful the technology, the more powerful the problems. So we are going to have problems that AI generates for us. I think the solution to those problems is not going to be less AI, but better technology, better AI. And those new AIs and new technology will make new problems. And so it's we're constantly there. We're not going to diminish the problems, but we can solve the problems because we have better and better technology, and we can replace the technologies with better technologies that will also have bigger problems. And so it's not going to end. It doesn't cease. Um, and so to answer your question, we solve the problems of AIs with better AI.
Uh, yeah. That's very interesting. I like that opinion.
Yeah.
Also, at the Bond Summit in Shanghai, there is a one called Axel Weber quoted your line that AI is like electricity, right? It's like kind of power. Then added the twist called that AI could bring short-term deflation followed by a long-term inflation with a net positive economic impact. Do you agree with that?
I think there is a way in which AI will help productivity, but I don't think the AI is going to increase productivity by 10 times I don't think we're going to have a 10% productivity. I don't think that. I think it's much more. I think if we could have 3% productivity, that would be amazing. I just
Yeah.
think that that kind of growth, it's a kind of growth. That kind of is a growth. That kind of growth is not sustainable. It's just fundamental. It's like if you had a human that was going to grow 10% a year. It's like that's pathological. That's not healthy. So I think 10% growth is not healthy
Yeah.
in any regime. And so I don't think that that's actually something I desire. I don't desire a 10% growth, and I also don't think that it's practical or even doable. Because I think what happens is like it's a sickness, it's a disease. And so, like it would be in a human. If a human was growing 10% a year, it'd be terrible, except if you're a
Yeah,
baby. But,
yeah, sure.
um,
Maybe I thought the what we were saying is maybe AI bring more demands and more job chance in the future. That's why he called that the inflation, I guess. But
inflation, what do they mean inflation?
like the job demand increase and there are more employee chance for the job seekers, right?
Well, that's a
AI
term.
bring more.
That's a
AI
term of
bring.
inflation. I've never heard that use of inflation. I think of inflation in financial terms.
Yeah, there's a new metaphor. Let's talk about the you predict many new job before, right? In the future. Could you give some today's colleagues, student like an update short list because the AI changed very fast. There might be some difference.
Yeah. I think it's the kinds of new jobs that we can imagine right now, I think are um, primarily, I think there are things like uh, I think there'll be a couple of things related to AI. One is I think there are going to be people whose job it is to educate AIs,
Yeah,
to take
trainer.
the AIs through a number of different steps, like a pedagogical course where you teach. I think we're going to realize that you can't teach AIs everything all at once. You actually
Yeah,
have to do it like a student, where you're teaching them one kind of thing, and then once they master that, then they do the next thing. And so there are going to be people whose whole job is to understand and um, develop the science of educating AIs. There won't be that many. I mean, it's not like there's going to be millions of people. There will be a small set of very, very specialized people, like a PhD level,
yeah,
whose job it is to educate AIs and taking them through a sequence of steps. And then also at the same time, I think AIs are going to be complex enough that there'll be psychologists who will be helping AIs when they get sick, when they aren't performing well, when they are um, becoming buggy, which is basically mental illness. Mental illness is a bug, and so there will be people who will work with AIs in both the teacher way and a psychologist way, and the complexity will be so great that that's their job. So, so that's at one level of people whose job it is dealing with the AIs. And then there's things that the AIs will engender where uh, they're doing um, certain things um, that you're working in conjunction with them. So like a mechanic, let's say, fixing
yeah.
cars. So some
Sure.
mechanics will understand that they can fix a car better if they have an AI working with them, looking over their shoulder. They have special glasses on. They can see, both of them can see the motor or whatever needs to be fixed, and they're whispering to each other and they're working as a team. And so that job of being a plumber or a mechanic there's now a special kind of that job, which is one that's working with the AI to do the repair work. And they will have their own salary, they'll have their own calling, there will be their own specialist, but they are coming in with the tools to do an incredible job really fast because they have an AI that's working with them and they're working with the AI and the glasses and they are doing things. And so that's a repair person, but it's a mechanic. but it's sort of like in a super mechanic or an auxiliary. It's a hyper mechanic.
Yeah.
It's a whole new profession that's been assisted by AI. So that's another example of a whole slew of professions that will be enhanced from the AI. They're kind of doing something similar, but they're actually how they spend their day really changes because they have this thing whispering in their ear and showing them on the screen.
Yeah. In summary, I think maybe uh, the jobs that collaborate with the AI or robots is the training topics in the
Yeah,
future. Right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I also quite like advice so-called that if you takes more than 15 minutes to explain your partner or your parents what you do for for living, that's a good sign. So it also works in the like next 5 years.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
The, the,
yeah.
the idea is that if you're a young person, you for your career, one of the best things to do is work at the frontier, out at the
Dear.
very latest, where um, where there's no competition and where old people are not. And one of the ways that you know that it's a frontier is if it takes a long time to explain to someone else what it is that you do, because you can't use a word like, "Oh, I'm an accountant," because everybody knows what an accountant is, and that's not new. You can't say, well, I'm a podcaster because now everybody knows what a podcaster is. 15 years ago, you had to explain to your parents what a podcaster is. Now everybody knows, so it's not the frontier.
Yeah.
So you want to go somewhere where there isn't a name for what it is that you're doing. There isn't a term, and that means that you're going to have to explain it to people.
Yeah.
And
New
so
totally new
that's
concepts. Right.
yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, it's really hard to explain to my parents.
right,
Yeah, that's quite
yeah,
common. But you talk about the most frontier jobs. Like I saw maybe there are one frontier the area in China except for language models. It's another one called embodied humanoid robots. It's kind of like they're very hot in China. I think maybe in US too. The public imagination is also stuck on the sci-fi movies like I, Robot from Will Smith.
hmm
Yeah. Uh, how do we populate this actual near-term look and limit the of the service robot? Like people maybe always overestimate for that.
yeah. Robots are interesting. I think we're still many decades away from household robots. I think there would be specialized one like the Roomba. But like the
Yeah.
Roomba, I think 95% of the robots, maybe even 95% of the robots in a home are not going to be humanoid.
Yeah.
They don't need to be. They may have
Yeah.
some aspects of it, like, the robots in the factory have arms. Okay, that's an
Yeah.
arm. It's not really a human arm. And then maybe there's hands, but they don't have legs. So there will only be a very few percent that are going to be in our homes that are humanoid. A very few percent. But the closer the robots get to working with us, the more humanoid they will be like. And that's because they have to match our scale. We go through doorways. We have railings. We have ceilings. And so if they're going to be near us and working near us, they're going to match our human scale. And if they match our human scale, they're likely to match our bodies because we will find it easier if they have to hand us something, it's going to be easier if they're about our size. If they're going to hand us to if we're comfortable with something that's approximately the same distance away as a humanoid. So because our bodies are so important to us, we are most comfortable with another robot that's about our size and shape. So for those few, very few percent that are near us, they're going to reflect us to a large degree. And they'll be very, very expensive to do that. That's incredibly expensive to have something at human scale. And it's going to be very, very difficult to do that because our own bodies are incredibly efficient. We run on a quarter horsepower.
Yeah.
There's no robot, humanoid robot, running at a quarter horsepower. There are hundreds of horsepowers. That requires an incredible amount of energy. That requires an incredible amount of batteries. It's really hard to put that into a human size and have it run all day. It's almost impossible right now. And so, and so, having that humanoid scale thing is really, really difficult. And for most robots, not necessary. It's only a very, very few that need to reflect that. And they will be very expensive. And um, there will have to be good reasons to have them near us. Again, we don't need, in the most cases, we don't need the robots to be near us most of
Mm,
the time.
sure.
Um, and, they can work while we're not around. They can, it's like the Roomba, vacuuming when we're not home. And
Yeah.
so I think, yes, there will be some humanoid robots. Two, they'll be very expensive. Three, they're going to be very long in coming. And four, they're not necessary for most robots. They won't be. Most of the robots are not going to be like humans.
Yeah, it's also very expensive.
Right,
Normal user cannot afford that.
right.
Yeah, but someone think the humanoid seems a very is the best format to special intelligent because they thought the human shape is can naturally accept all the informations in our world.
Yeah, it's it is possible that an AI embedded into a human scale, human-like body might might have more empathy for a human. That's possible. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
It's not common, right?
I'm not sure that that's necessary. Here's the thing about robots, of course, is that you might be able to teach one robot with a body like that, and then you can just replicate it into robots that didn't have a body. So I'm not sure, we don't know yet how important it is for the robot to remain embodied in a human-like body. Maybe they do it once and it's enough, and they can remember that. I don't know. We don't know. So I would say that hypothesis would have to be proven. I think it's interesting hypothesis, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure if I believe it. I would have to see it tried out. And a lot of the things about AI and robots, we aren't going to figure out by thinking about them. They're much too complicated. The only way that we're ever going to get anything is actually to try stuff. We have to
Sure.
try because thinking, it's just thinking, our thinking about it is a very, very narrow bound. We're too limited in our ability to think about things. We actually have to try experiments. We can't solve cancer by thinking about it, no matter how smart we are. You could take the smartest AI in the universe
Yeah.
and you brought it to and it's not going to solve cancer by thinking about it. It has to do experiments. We have to try stuff. We have to have, we have to learn through experience. And so we aren't going to solve the problems of robots and what they're going to do by thinking about them. We actually have to do experiments.
Yeah, sure things. Uh, I also have some questions about companies because I'm also a founder of startup.
Hmm.
So you spend many times with founders of many great companies in America and all over the world. So what are the instinct that building a truly native AI native companies Like in particular, what structures or like workflows you think should be like the more important things in a new company?
I just talked to somebody today who is works for one of the biggest companies in the world that helps all the companies trying to be AI first.
Yeah,
And what he said was very, very clear, which I'd heard from other people, which that um, it's incredibly difficult to make a big existing company AI first. The only the only companies that have succeeded in any way are startup companies. One is they're smaller, and two, they're faster.
yeah,
And the important thing is that you have a whole new workflow with your AI first. And it's very hard to change those kinds of things in big companies, particularly if those companies are successful. It's almost
yeah,
impossible to change them if they're successful. So really, the only place where we've seen AI first happen is in small startup companies who can begin to do that. And we don't. I don't have a sense right now of what these have in common in terms of workflow. Most of the AI first companies are AI-ish companies. They're focused on AI, and that's a very small. It's a very small part of the world. It's
yeah,
knowledge based. It's software based. It's it's fast moving, venture based, and so that's a tiny part of all the possible companies that we can make. So it's
yeah,
very hard to generalize right now. It's very clear that they eat their dog food, which is the idea that an AI first company is it's usually making AI tools itself, and so they're using their own tools. So I don't know if we have enough data to say generally what is the workflow for the new workflow for AI first companies, but it is very clear that it only seems to have been implemented in very small startups so far.
yeah. Mm, somehow, there do have the company like OpenAI. They grew up from a startup to now a very big and great
Yeah.
company. Like,
Well, here, my daughter, she
yeah,
works for Anthropic.
wow,
Okay, so she's in
that's
Anthropic,
great.
and that's a new startup that's only AI. If you would think it was AI first, and I don't know if it's an AI first company. I mean,
Mm,
listening to her, and their what they're doing in their workflow, it may or may not be. Um, so I'm not even sure if all the AI companies like OpenAI are actually AI first.
yeah. Uh, like the 20 years ago, 10 years ago, there are Google, Microsoft, but in nowadays, there are bunch of companies, but there's no company as huge as Google. So how do you think about it? Is there and possible to we have like the in the world there is a new company that grew up like the Google, so big.
Yeah, there will be. This is still the LLMs are 1,000 days for chat GPT.
Yeah.
It's very, very early. Um, Google was not very big for the first 10 years.
Yeah.
It's Google didn't even have a business model for, I don't know, for a very long time. They didn't even have they didn't have advertising. And so and I'm not sure it may be that the AI companies an AI company will become the biggest, but I think that VR, AR, XR company, a spatial intelligence company, has a chance to become even bigger because I think the more potential data you have, the bigger you can be. And the company that will have the most data will be a XR mirror world company, a company that is making the spatial world of 3 dimensions and having those projections and having that they will have so much data, so much real-time data of people and their expressions and their emotions and their locations and their attention, that amount of data will be so huge that they will become the most valuable company on the planet. And so and there is no XR, there is no augmented reality without AI. And so AI will be facilitated. So it's possible that it's not just an AI company itself, it's an AI XR company that um, becomes the biggest because you can't do that mirror world without AI. And you probably can't do spatial AI without the mirror world. So I think I'm not sure whether just a plain AI company will get that big, but I think an AI company plus with AI XR, augmented reality, that would be the one that I would be willing to bet on.
Yeah, sure. I also got a very private question for you. Like maybe you can give me some advice. So I did some research on the AI application companies. I found that the most of those companies, their gross profit margin is very low because the cost of the models, like they use API, is very expensive. So also I'm a founder of a startup. I also worry about that. Maybe when user increase or profit not increase as a linear relation. Is there any suggestions about that?
So one of the questions that the VCs always ask is, are you a feature, a product, or a company? Right?
Yeah,
A feature,
yeah,
a product, or a company. If you're a feature, you're just bought.
yeah,
Um, you're just incorporated into other things. If you're a product, you have a little bit more life, but it doesn't mean that you can actually make your living as a company for 10 years. And
yeah,
so are you constructing a company that has more than one product and it has a potential for a long life? That's a much harder row. So AI right now, I think is mostly features.
yeah.
Most of the
I
AI
agree
are
with that.
features that will be incorporated into a bigger machine. Some AIs may be products that um, could stand alone, but they might in the end also be bought. But there's very few AIs so far that are actually going to be a company or even a platform further on. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so it's tough. And again, without knowing what it is that you're making, um, I don't know. But I do know that it's AI is a commodity, and you've got to have the values in the interface to this whole thing.
Yeah, thank you. It's very helping me a lot. Because our goal is to be a company, not a feature or product.
Yeah.
It's
So
very important.
yeah. So you have, and why do you want to be a company versus a product?
We want first we want to provide a long-standing and as long as we can to provide more value to users. It's not only the productivity value, but some like emotional values. Like
Mm,
we build some features to provide some uh, like human-like partners, the AI
mm,
human-like partners to our users,
mhm,
make them feel like there is a real human create with you.
mhm.
I think this is a very big picture, and we're trying to make it real.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Yeah, again, I think it'd be like selling water.
Yeah,
Water's free. There are some few companies that did enough branding to be able to sell bottled water, even though the
yeah,
water is free. Um, they made a brand interface. So that's a that's only partially technology. The rest of it's branding and all these other marketing issues.
yeah,
So I think they will become more and more important in AI, in the AI sphere, is branding, marketing, identity, user interface work. It's all very human, high touch, we call it high touch.
high touch.
Right. High touch meaning that uh, the human touch of the human experience of it, of branding, marketing, interface is all about the human side of it.
Yeah. I got a question for you, Kevin.
Yes.
Uh, if you are starting a new company now,
Yeah.
what kind of the company you want build, or what kind of the product?
I probably wouldn't do anything in AI. I don't
Why?
think there's, but well, because there's millions and millions of people. I don't think that's, I always like to zig. You want to go in a different direction for me.
Yeah.
Everybody is headed towards AI, so I would go in a different direction. I would
Like,
do something without AI completely.
but it's more like not AI, but related to AI.
What's the question?
Um, I thought every company in future cannot live without AI, right? So
No, no, no,
the
no, no, I don't think. I think there's plenty. There'll be plenty of companies that don't have any AI. Now, they will still be affected by AI because they will
yeah,
be competing, but they don't
yeah,
have to have AI. So like, in fact, my policy of looking at the rich to see where the future is going, they'll be the richer the people are, the more willing they are to surround themselves only with people. So um, there'll be companies that will do things where, like an artist who decides that they will not use AI, they will only paint using themselves, and they'll have a video of them painting without AI, and they'll have fans and supporters who like them because they don't use AI. Okay, or you can have a special kind of travel where um, it's only humans, and you are given, the special exclusive thing of having everything, and you're only surrounded by people, and there's no AI involved. So again, this is like going in a different direction, and that's my tendency is to go in the opposite direction. Everybody is rushing towards AI. You ask me what I would do personally, and I would say I would go the other direction.
like more attention on the physical world.
Right. It's like, people have vinyl records and analog and film cameras. It's a reaction in the other direction.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Um, I like I've read your new book, 2049. It's a very impressive book. So I want recommend this book to all my followers, and I hope Kevin can you can bring a kind of the short introduction to this book.
Oh, what's
Just
the book
like
about?
yeah, the
Yeah,
few
yeah.
sentences
So,
of that.
yeah. So let me just grab a copy of it. So this is the book, um, 2049.
Oh,
There is
Chinese
no
version.
there
Yeah.
is no English. It's only in Chinese.
Wow.
I wrote it for you guys, the Chinese audience. There is, as I said, there is no English language version of it, and there won't be. And so it's I think it's subtitled something about the next 10,000 days, and the idea is for the next 25 years, I offer some positive, optimistic scenarios about what the world could be. I'm not saying the world is going to be like this. I'm saying it could be like
Yeah.
this. We have a choice. And so I think it's important that people have a vision of an optimistic world that they can aim for, because I think you can't really make it happen unless you have a picture of it first. And most of the pictures we have about the future are dystopic. They're like Hollywood. They're disaster. They're terrible. Every movie in which there's an AI is a movie where it does not end well. It ends with disaster. If there's an AI in the movie, it's going to be bad news. And so I am trying to make an alternative to show people a different possible future and hope that we can make that happen. And so that's what the book is about, trying to look at future of education, the future of transportation, energy, AI, genetics, and saying here are some pictures of a world where this technology works and we might want to move in that direction. And, in part, I also talk about China and maybe what China's role could be in that world. So, again, these are not predictions, they're scenarios, positive scenarios that I'm hoping would be helpful to people to give them something to aim for so that maybe they could work on making that happen. And by the way, if you read the book 2049 and you don't like my future, I suggest you come up with a future you do like, that you do think is a positive, and aim for that. That's just as good. So if you don't like my world, come up with your own great world and work to try to make that happen. Again, I could be totally wrong about where this is going, and maybe your world is where we're going to go. Well, that's fine. That would make me happy too. So try
Yeah.
and just try and think of a world that has AI, because AI is not going to go away. We're not going to have
Yeah.
less AI. We're going to have more AI every year. But the quality of the AI, the character of it, we have a choice. We can decide right now about what we want the AI to do and be. It's going to be there. It's not ever going to go away. So, what kind of AI do you want? Where do you want it? Who should own it? How should it be run? How should it be managed? How should the governments interact with? Those are all things that we can decide. So, I have a vision in the book, and I hope that people can read it and maybe try and make it happen. And if you have a different idea, good for you. Try to make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what our products want to bring to our audience.
Sure.
But it's a very great and a happy conversation to you, Kevin. Really
Yeah.
thanks. Appreciate that. So hopefully that podcast will bring Kevin's scenario to every
Yeah.
audience. And yeah, and thank you again. Really appreciate that. So
You're very welcome.
yeah, maybe we can meet in person in future, Shanghai or US.
Sure. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your attention. Thank you
Yeah,
for the
thanks for
people
your
who are,
advice. Yeah.
yeah, for the people who are listening. I appreciate your attention. It's the most valuable thing you have. Thank you for sharing it with me. And I appreciate the great questions you have. So thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you.